Hey guys, I'm Chris, the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome to the channel. We have a quick repair video to do today. Now, I've been cleaning out the storage shed. I've been working at the shop, cleaning that up. We've been doing so many unboxings and finding some great stuff. I haven't had any chance to do any repair videos. I'm surrounded by projects. I've got enough to last me 3 lifetimes. This one we moved off the shelf the other day in the emergency storage shed, and I said, I don't want to just shove it aside. Let's fix it quickly. I think it just needs belts. I've got a note here, so I must have tested it one other time, and it says radio and CD play okay, cassette needs belts, and the remote needs a clean. It has a remote control with it. It's a Philips AZ1505. I'll show you a photo of the thing. I think there's a ticket underneath. It was made around about 2000, 2001, I think. Now, many of you know that I kind of collect boomboxes. I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I've made a bit of a decision that, well, I was going to say any with a CD player are too modern. I won't collect those. But I think I might make it the cut-off the year 2000. So anything after 2000, I'll just sell. Anything pre-2000, unless I particularly don't like it, I shall keep it and I'll restore them all one day. I've got quite a collection of them. So some of the pre-2000 ones will have a CD player in them as well. Okay, let's pull this apart. Actually, let's quickly test it and see what it is doing or not doing. Okay, it's a very clean looking unit, and it's known as a CD sound machine. It takes CD rewritable discs. It has a lift up section here where your cassette goes in there. CD is nice and clean, so it's in great cosmetic condition. It actually would nearly pass as a new one. Clearly never been in a shed. The remote though does look a little grubby, and yeah, my note says that the remote didn't work, and yeah, it looks like it's had some batteries in there that are a little corroded, so we should be able to clean that up okay. We'll pop that apart later and clean it up, but we better see if we can get this fixed. I'm presuming it is just belts. We have the cord. I don't know if this is the original cord, but it does have the sleeves on the pins, which came in the early 2000s. But these cords get swapped around all the time because they're just a standard figure 8. The unit does also take batteries, and I checked the battery compartment before. It's nice and clean. Oh, it's dusty, but there's no corrosion. Okay, let's power it up and just make sure that the radio and the CD do work and see exactly what's happening with the cassette. All right, it's on tape at the moment. Radio, TU for tuner, I guess.
Very popular 70s,
okay,
80s.
That's good.
Having a birthday today. Also
that's working fine. CD. We have to put a CD in here, of course. The good old Forrest Gump soundtrack. It's one that I found in a CD player once, and I've actually quite enjoyed playing it. So it's read 16 tracks. That's promising. Play. That sounds good, and both speakers seem to be working, so excellent. Right, we need to get it. Oh, well, let's see if the cassette does anything. Let's put it back to tape and push play. Oh, we have a spool turning. It seems to have a bit of torque. Interesting, maybe that does work. Fast forward works. Oh, and then it stops. Oh no, it's still going. Rewind. Won't stay on. Maybe it needs a cassette in there. Alright, what do we got here? John Denver's Greatest Hits. Now, a bit awkward to put in these ones. Oh, there we go. Play. Well, that's working. Sounds okay. Fast forward, works. And rewind's working. I don't know why I said tape needs belts. Maybe they were a bit gummed up, and by having a little bit of movement, they're actually going okay. Probably the belts won't be in the best condition. Oh, okay, now it's stopped. Now it's playing again. I think I'm going to have to leave this playing in the shed for a while, play a few different cassettes and make sure it's going to be okay, because there's no sense getting it to the shop and selling it if it's not going to keep working. Okay, let's listen to John Denver for a while. You guys can't, but I can. Okay, we got through 1.5 songs and Rocky Mountain High sounds like it's melting. So yes, definitely belts. We'll have to pull it apart and have a look. Okay, with the power cord disconnected, we can now pull this apart. The trickiest thing about doing these jobs is getting into the damn things. They don't make it easy. Right, we've got some screws here with arrows pointing to them. That normally means they're the ones you need to undo to take the case apart. Looks like there's some on the back as well. Okay, well, we'll just start undoing screws. They're Torx screws, as many modern things are. We'll just make sure they're all the same length. No, that one was longer. All right, we need to make note of these things, because you don't want to put a long screw back in a short hole. You'll do damage. So those 3 are longer ones. I'll remember that, but I have the footage to look back on. Right, what have we got on the back here? Okay, we have some extra long and some very short. It's going to take a bit of keeping track of. A plug socket, that's a short one. And we've got some up the top here as well. Well, when I say up the top, they're down the bottom, but it's upside down. And that's a long one as well. That's all the screws that I can see. They sometimes hide them in the battery compartment. No, can't see any in there. Now, how does it come apart? I'll use a little prying tool here. I think it's clipped as well. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so the whole front comes off. So we're going to have some things to unhook or unplug. Oh, we've still got our cassette in there. Alright, so looks like most of it stays at the back. We have some speakers to unplug. At least they're easy enough to get to. And the control panel. Alright, well that's pretty good actually. I've had a lot worse than that. Looks pretty good in there. Decent sized speakers in it. Okay, how easy is the cassette mech and the belts going to be to get to? Well, I can see it in there. We're going to have to take the circuit board off. One big board. I don't think that will be too much trouble. A lot more screws though. Well, to get to the screw under there, does this compartment come off? Oh yes, okay. Alright, that will help. It's quite modular. There's our power transformer there. That will probably unplug. Ah, there we go, very easy. Good on you, Philips, this isn't such a bad unit. Alright, let's take this board out. And all those ones are the same size, good. Now, what do we got? So we have the input from the tape mech, and another one's probably the record or something, or a switch. And then round this side we have the input from the CD, and then we have, oh look, even the antenna wire unplugs. That's excellent. And there's an earth link here, and we have a ribbon cable from the CD, or the other one must have been power. And there's another little, oh, this is a door switch. It's actually marked on the board. And what's over this side? Another one. What's this say? The tape motor. Well, that is fantastic. I'm very impressed with how easily that comes apart. Very good for servicing. It's a big board for not a lot of components, but everything unplugs nicely. And it's labelled, which is great. To door switch, to tape motor. Alright, that's good. And now we have very good access to our mechanisms here. The CD, which was working fine, and the cassette, which wasn't. And you can see the belt is super loose. Yeah, any wonder it was slipping both belts. Alright, so now that should be pretty easy. I've just got to make sure I've got some belts. I don't know, I've got some assorted kits. We'll see if we can find something. How do we get them off easily? I think we might just take the actual mech out, because there's a screw that holds the motor underneath that side. There we go. Really easy to extract. It's all pretty clean inside. Alright, I think we have to take the motor off. There's one little screw there, and there's one screw there. They're just Philips head. And the motor should pretty much just lift off, and we'll just pop the belt off it, off the pulley. There we go. So that bolt goes around the top pulley underneath there, and the other one comes out from underneath. Both bolts removed. Very good. Now, oh, that's hard. It does not feel soft rubber at all. It feels quite perished, and I reckon if I'm sure it's going to break if I pull it much further. And this one's much the same. So they were stretched, and they're not rubbery at all. They wouldn't have gripped, they would have just slipped. Looks like they're both almost the same size. Alright, I'll get out my belt kit and see if we've got two. Okay, I've found some belts. They're just a whisker thinner, but I've made them a bit shorter, so they will sit a bit deeper in the pulleys. The only other belt kit I had much thicker belts, but I think these ones will be fine. At least they feel like rubber. Alright, so that one's got to go on to the bottom. We'll put it around the big one first. Make sure it's in the pulley. There we go. Run it around that one. That's better. Not too tight. Beautiful. So that was that one. I think they were slightly different lengths. And this one's got to go around the motor and under here. Okay, we might have to put the motor on first and then stretch the belt around the pulley. We've got room to. We'll just put one screw in for the moment and see if we can get that belt on. Oh, it's fallen off the top pulley. It's going to be a little tricky. Okay, we'll use my trusty dentist tool. Well, it's probably not a dentist tool, it's a spiky thing. Okay, now we need to hook that under the motor pulley without it coming off the top one. That's on. And I think that's firm enough. Excellent. Now we can put the other screw back in the motor bracket here. And we just start the process of reassembling. Okay, assembly is pretty much just the reversal of dismantling. You've got to make sure things line up though, like these buttons. There we go, that's home. Now that wire went through that little section there, and this one went through the middle there. Alright, we'll put those screws in. And I'm going to assemble this by hand rather than using the cordless drill, just so that we don't break anything or strip out any threads. And sometimes if something's not aligned properly and the screw pulls down via the drill, there's too much pressure and it snaps things. At least if you do it by hand, you can kind of feel if it's got too tight. Takes a bit longer, but you're better off doing it once than breaking something or having to do it 2 or 3 times because something went in the wrong spot. Okay, we will just check to make sure that the buttons work. That's all right, everything seems to work there. Okay, next was the circuit board, and we've got to plug some things in before we start putting screws in. Okay, everything's plugged back in there, and it pretty well falls into position. Okay, and these screws were all the same length. Okay, that's all good. Now the next thing was the power supply section, which we better not forget to plug in. Okay, next was, I think, the main cover. Okay, I'm back. I did have to look back at the footage to work out where those longer screws went. It's funny how your mind, you think you can remember, and half an hour later you're just not sure. So it's always a good idea to film, even if you're not a YouTuber. Okay, back together. We'll power it up. I've just plugged it in. We'll turn on the appliance tester, and we'll try a tape. We've got John Denver here again. Oops, we're on radio. Switch it to tape, and that should be about where we left off when Rocky Mountain High was getting very sluggish, shall we say. Okay, we don't need to put the lid down. Let's hit play. There we go. Country road this time. That sounds pretty good. Rewind works great. Fast forward works great. And play, brilliant. Seems to work great. I will leave it play for a while, but I'm fairly confident now that it'll be fine, especially with these belts. They actually feel like they'll snap if I bend them. They feel that hard. So at least they didn't turn to glue. Some of them really end up like a black tar, and you've got to wipe it off all the pulleys. These ones did the opposite. They dried out, and they do not feel like rubber at all. So they're no good. We had some to do the job. That's terrific. I might play this tape for a bit longer, and all we need to do is clean the remote out, and we should be right to go. Okay guys, I've switched from John Denver to Don McLean. I've played a number of tapes through this. It works great. It's in good condition. In fact, it would nearly pass as a new one. The only problem is the remote control I cleaned up, and I pulled it apart to clean the corrosion off the little wire springs. And the corrosion has got onto the circuit board and eaten away some of the tracks. So it could be fixed, but it's not worth spending my time on. I don't think it would add a lot of value to the little boombox. Most people treat these things as portable, so why do you need a remote if you've got to go and change the cassette or change the CD? If you've got the radio going, you normally just sit it up there and it plays by itself. You can pick them up on eBay, but I don't think it affects the value a lot. I'm going to put, say, $40 on this in the shop, and probably if we had the remote I might try 50, but it's not worth me trying to fix it at this stage. I'll hang on to it for parts in case we need some buttons or something off it in the future. There we go, a pretty basic, simple repair. I was quite pleased with how this was able to be serviced. So well done again, Philips, good on you. And I think that will have a pretty good, a pretty short life in the shop, because I've had a lot of people ask me for cassette decks and cassette players and even CD players. So $40, we should be right there. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that little journey. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.